6:30 on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. This is the City of Lewisville Planning and Zoning Commission. First order of business, we do have a quorum present, and I'm looking for approval of minutes. Commissioners, questions?
Move to approve.
Motion by Ainsley. Yep, by Fran. You guys sound alike down there. Second by Rick. All in favor? Vote now. Motion carries 5-0. First order of business is a regular hearing. It's the final plat of Vista Ridge Point Addition, Lot 1R, Block A, on 15.208 acres, zoned light industrial, LI district, being a replat of Vista Ridge Point Addition, Lots 1, 2, and 3, Block A, located at the west end of the storage court. Case number 24-11-10-RP.
Good evening, Commissioners. The replat of Vista Ridge Point Addition was submitted on November 18th, 2024, and has been reviewed by staff. Staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission disapprove the replat of Vista Ridge Point Addition for the deficiencies listed and delegate to staff the authority to accept and approve the plat once the listed deficiencies are corrected. The approved plat will be brought to the chair for signature.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions? Comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to disapprove the final plat due to deficiencies and delegate to staff the authority to accept and approve the plat when deficiencies are corrected.
Motion by Rick, second by Ainsley. Vote now. Motion carries 5-0. C3, consideration of 3 alternative standards associated with the I-35E Corridor Overlay District standards related to an open space, secondary walkways, and architecture on 6.7970 acres located at 420 Oak Bend Drive, legally described as Lot 1A, Block B, Vista Ridge Village Edition, Phase 3, zoned light industrial LI district, as requested by Diego Perez Garcia of Westwood Professional Services on behalf of the owner, CH Realty, XGAP 1, DFW Oak Bend, LP, 24-11-16 alt standards.
Good evening, Commissioners. Let me see if this is pulling up. Let's see. Yeah.
Give us just one moment, please.
Sorry for about a tick.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. The property owner is proposing a redevelopment of the old movie theater site, which is no longer in use. Their proposal is to redevelop it into 2 industrial distribution warehouse facilities. Based off some constraints of the site, they're requesting a few alternative standards that will help provide them the ability to develop and also match the context of the site. The first 2 standards discussed will be able to be decided by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The last one, the Planning and Zoning Commission will be able to recommend approval to City Council. So the first standard They're looking to reduce the width of the secondary walkway. The current, let me see. Let's see. All right. All right, yes, so they're looking to reduce the width of the secondary walkway, which is this area highlighted in blue near the building. The current standard requires a medium or minimum width of 12 feet across. They're requesting a reduction to 8 feet in front of the building entrances and 5 feet along the other parts of the facade. They're proposing this because the standard when it was used was, or when it was, the intent of that 12-foot walkway standard was more so developed for mixed-use commercial buildings where there'd be more pedestrian activity, but as an industrial facility, there will be a lot less ingress and egress across buildings. And so, and also to help with truck maneuverability and the requirements for that, they're proposing the reduction there. The second standard, alternative standard they're requesting is for a reduction in their open space based off of constraints of both the site, like building placement, as well as grade. There's really steep grade in the back of the building here, and there's some a large kind of forested area back here. The site is not conducive for including a lot of space, so they did include as much as they can. I believe the requirement would require them to have about 14,000 square feet. They're proposing approximately 11,000. And the open space would be included in this front area right here, highlighted in red, as well as a portion in the corner. And to improve this open space area, they're plan on adding several areas of tables and chairs, as well as a game board area so that employees on their break have a place that, they could sit and relax or leisure. And they're as well increasing the amount of trees in this area to provide more shade for these sitting areas. The last alternative standard that would need to be seen by the Planning and Zoning Commission is to reduce the minimum brick or stone facade requirements between the two buildings, which represents, the requirement represents an aggregate of 22,000 square feet, but they're requesting a reduction to about 8,000 square feet between the two buildings. And so this standard, they have, as mentioned, they're planning on redeveloping the site into two industrial buildings. The first, which due to its size, would have a brick or stone requirement of 10% on facades not facing primary or private routes. The second, and then on all other facades that do face public vehicular routes, public or private vehicular routes, they would need at least 15%. And so what they're proposing for building one is that they would not meet the required 10% on the north elevation, and that's the side that faces the heavily forested area. It's not really visible from the road at all. And then they're proposing on the other three sides with more visibility, they are going above the 15% standard, so they're kind of mixing the total amount around in that sense. For building two, it's a smaller building. Oh, one second. It's a smaller building, and so that requirement requires 80% brick or stone on all facades, but the applicant is requesting a reduction so that the second building can match architecturally and be consistent in its look with the primary building. And as far as, working to improve and meet the intent of the standard, they've included additional glass, like windows, both at the ground floor and clerestory levels, as well as other architectural articulations in the facade that makes it a bit more visually appealing from visible areas. And so, as previously mentioned, those first two standards, the walkway and the open space, can be decided upon by P&Z. And the third, P&Z can recommend approval to City Council. I'm here to answer any questions, and the applicant and property owner are also here to answer any questions as well.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Yes, I have just a couple of questions and a comment. I live not too far from there, and that street, Oak Bend, the traffic is terrible. It's a 2-lane road. And when you start doing these industrial things, and what comes to my mind is a lot of trucks coming up and down that street all the time. So a couple of questions. One, obviously there's going to be some sort of businesses in the front. They're going to, do we know what kind, is that, I mean, it looks like they're going to have space rented in the front, some kind of retail space?
No, they're both just standard, like industrial distribution warehouses. So it's mainly going to be like distribution. There's not going to be, I don't know how many tenants they plan for. I'm assuming 2, maybe that's something that they can speak more to, but I don't think it's going to be like a multi-tenant like you would expect for like a commercial mixed-use property.
And I'm assuming there's going to be plenty of parking, because that's not a big lot.
Yes.
I don't know how many employees these places are going to have, but there's not a lot of, I don't know how much parking there's going to be there, but the other concern is you can park on the street. And, the last thing would be start having a bunch of people parking on the street, because there's a big hill right there. And my overall concern is that it's just going to create a lot of traffic, a lot more congestion than there is now. And I'm just wondering if they have a feel for how much truck traffic and stuff is going to come in and out of this place.
Yeah, as far as the parking I could speak to, they are, as far as meeting our parking requirements, they're met them and have gone beyond what's required.
Okay.
If you could, I don't know if you can speak towards.
Yes. Good
Please
evening, everyone.
State your name, please.
Bryce Hafner, Gray Arch Properties,
Thank you.
with the ownership. So our plan is not to have any parking on the street. Our users should have ample parking in front of the buildings to meet their use. If not, they can park in the rear where the truck courts are. Each building will be, the smaller one will be a maximum 2 tenants. It's a 37,000 square foot building, so you're looking at maybe 2 18,000 square foot tenants. The larger one is 68,000 feet. That'll be maximum 3 tenants. These are small box trucks type users. Maybe they have a showroom in the front of the building with some warehousing in the back. This is a low trucking type facilities.
So we're not talking about 18-wheelers rolling in and out of there?
No, there might be one, a couple times maybe throughout the month. There might be 1 or 2. The truck courts are fairly narrow at 115 to 130 feet deep. So I don't believe that these size users will be using those. Okay. It's not a 1 million square foot fulfillment center where you're having Amazon trucks come every day or FedEx coming every day on these big trucks. These should be smaller users with box trucks.
So you're going to demolish the movie theater?
Yes, sir. So demolish it. So on the high end, you have the high-end office facing the street, and any of the loading in the back of the building, so you won't be able to see that. And we have 2 driveways, which hopefully will alleviate a lot of that traffic coming out of the property.
Okay.
And there's a decel lane as well in front of the smaller building, so any box trucks or tenants coming should be able to get off Oak Bend, which frees up congestion.
Well, just as long as you don't block my access to getting into Total Wine down there. That's the only thing that matters to me.
I understand that.
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you.
Okay, motion to approve alternative standards A and B and recommend approval of alternative standard C as presented.
Thank you. Motion by Rick, second by Ainsley. Let me vote now. Motion carries 4-0.
Commissioners, if you give me one moment, I need to double check the date that that's going to the city council. It will be one of the January dates. Bear with me one moment. Michelle, it's not on the calendar. Or 127. This item will appear on the City Council agenda on January 6th, 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m., where the City Council will hold a second public hearing or a second regular hearing and make a final decision on that one alternative standard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next items are public hearings. The first public hearing is consider a special use permit for accessory building, accessory structure on .0578 acres, legally described as Lot 44, Block A of Rockbrook Place, located at 434 Hamilton Street, zoned Townhouse 2 Residential, TH2 District, as requested by Zantana Tapia, the applicant, on behalf of Arisha Lewis, the property owner. Case number 24-11-19 SUP.
Good evening, Commissioners. An SUP is required for accessory structures when they don't meet the supplemental standards required. In the case of the patio cover being proposed by the property owner, the structure does not meet the minimum 5 feet side and rear yard setbacks. And additionally, the supplemental standards require that any accessory structures greater than 120 square feet must be set back a minimum 5 feet from the principal building. Let me see if I can get a closer image. As mentioned, this property is zoned Townhouse 2. Based off of the lot requirements, an accessory structure is very hard to fit within our current code standards. However, we do not, staff doesn't find this use to be incompatible with this residential use. In fact, patio covers are, accessory patio covers are quite common addition in this neighborhood. In many of these cases, the property owners constructed these patio covers without going through the correct channels of permitting, because in many of these cases, they would also require an SUP. But as previously mentioned, staff doesn't find this use to be inconsistent with the use, and we believe that as far as being compatible or consistent with some of the plans regarding housing and improvements with the Lewisville 2025 plan, we find this to be a positive improvement to the property that helps make neighborhoods in Lewisville better. So staff recommends approval of the SUP as presented. I'm here to answer any questions as well as the property owner.
Thank you. Commissioners? Questions?
Just a comment. This is an absolute necessity in Texas. So thank you for coming through the proper channels, first of all. And secondly, thanks. I appreciate you wanting to keep your house cooler in the summer as well. So
in that case, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may come forward. State your name, please, and your address. Having no one come forward, I'll close the public hearing. And if there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the special use permit as it was presented to us.
Second.
Motion by Francis, seconded by Joshua. Vote now. Motion carries 5-0.
Commissioners, this item will be considered by the City Council on Monday, January the 6th, 2025 at 7:00 p.m. for a second public hearing and a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next item is also a public hearing. Consider terminating ordinance number 129-19-SUP, a special use permit for minor automobile services, including tune-up and regular services, and a car wash facility on 1.221 acre lot, legally described as Lot 3, Block A, the corners at Valley Parkway Addition, located at 1111 West Round Grove Road, zoned local commercial, LC.
Good evening, Commissioners. I don't have a ton to show you tonight. There was an SUP approved in 2019 by you all as well as City Council for a car wash and minor automotive repair. The SUP ordinances state that they can be terminated or rescinded via a public hearing through the City Council, as well as, since it was a zoning action, we are undoing it the way we made it happen, which is bringing it to you all here. This special use permit was for quick car, not quick quack. There's a lot of quacking car washes, but they did the car wash as well as the minor automotive. They have violated 2 of the conditions of the SUP that warrant it being terminated. For one, that is that it has been abandoned. That business has moved out. It has been sitting vacant for over the amount of time that is required, and additionally, they are no longer complying with the standards in the zoning plan. They had some required landscaping that is no longer there. We've received no calls in opposition of terminating this ordinance. We did get 1 call in support. The neighboring property owner called and was excited to hear about removing the auto use. He felt he owns a daycare in the rear, felt it would be an improvement. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just so I'm extra positive here, this action is for quick car.
Quick car, yes ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Is this also where the quack car wash is going to go into?
I should have mentioned that. This is, you guys already saw the quick quack SUP request, and so that one will go to City Council on the same day as this one. It was just found there was this existing SUP. The one that you guys already recommended approval for is a lower intensity use, so this will be an improvement to the site. It is getting rid of that automotive repair and just having the car wash as well as other site improvements.
Okay. So this is sort of just cleaning up the books.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
I will call the public hearing to order. Anyone wishing to speak may come forward. State your name and your address, please. Having no one come forward, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to recommend approval of terminating the ordinance number 021919-SUP.
Second.
Motion by Ainsley, second by Francesca. Your vote now. Motion carries 5-0.
Commissioners, this item will be considered by the City Council on Monday, January the 6th, 2025 at 7:00 p.m. for a second public hearing and a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next item of business is a public hearing. Consider amending Article 3, Chapter 6, Zoning Petitions and Procedures of Volume 2 of the Lewisville City Code, known as the Unified Development Code, by amending Section 3.6.6 to remove limitations on resubmission of zoning petitions following City Council denial.
Good evening, Commissioners. So we have a provision in our Unified Development Code currently that states that if a council denies a zoning petition, which could be a straight zoning change, a special use permit, or a plan development, they're not allowed to resubmit that zoning petition for all or any part of the subject tract for a period of 1 year from that city council date. And this is going above and beyond what the state statute requires. And so it's a provision that we felt could be burdensome in some cases where there was a denial, but they might make some minor modifications, change the scope of the project, and want to bring it back forward again within that 1 year time frame. And we believe we should at least hear them out if that is the case. So our proposal is to simply strike that language, that provision from the code. And so people could get denied, and then in theory they could resubmit with the same thing. I don't see why they would if they're not making any substantive changes and don't have any, legitimate belief it would get approved again. And it's not been an issue in Lewisville. We've never had folks that have consistently resubmitted projects to get denied. Nothing would require the council to approve it, no matter how many times they submit it. The council may still deny the item. So we're proposing just removing that language from the code to allow developers to make their argument before the P&Z and the city council.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioners? Not, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to comment may come forward. State your name and your address, please. Having no one come forward, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion if there are no questions.
Motion to recommend approval of the amendments as presented.
Motion by Joshua, second by Rick. Vote now. Motion carries 5-0.
Commissioners, this item will appear on the agenda of the City Council on Monday, January the 6th, 2025 at 7:00 p.m. for a second public hearing and a final decision. Thank you.
As we carry forward to other business, we receive an update on the implementation of long-range plans for 2024.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to start giving you more regular updates on plan implementation for all these great plans that you guys help us get adopted. And so we're going to talk tonight about the Old Town North Small Area Plan and the Southwest Lewisville Small Area Plan, and just give you an update on what's been done on those plans to date. So for the Old Town North Small Area Plan, one of the more recent items we did was we had our For the Love of Lewisville event, and we really targeted the Old Town North. Several items in the plan referenced assisting property owners, especially elderly or disabled property owners with home repair and that sort of things. The other thing the For the Love of Lewisville Old Town event did this past fall was focus on the Fox Hembry Cemetery and do quite a bit of cleanup and improvements and repairs at that cemetery, which was another big item in the plan. We also did construct a portion of sidewalk on the north side of College Street from Wayne Frady Park to DeGan Street, which is to the west. We have rehabilitated the rodeo grounds, and those are now operated by the city. We did conduct a city speaker series, and that was pre-COVID, but we did complete that as well. We did adopt a complete streets policy. Now that is applied citywide, but it was part of the plan to look at kind of complete streets and how those streets might be finished out with Old Town North, and we just adopted that policy citywide. We did complete a green ribbon project to add trees at the I-35 and Valley Ridge Boulevard interchange. With the UDC, we allowed for smaller lots and incremental density with backyard cottages and some duplexes. We have worked on the Prairie Creek sewer improvements, and we have had some first-time homebuyer classes that had really good attendance from this area. So those are some things that we've accomplished. Some of the things that are in progress are updates to Wayne Frady Park and Fox Hembry Cemetery. So they're still working on further improvements to the Fox Hembry Cemetery. And then Wayne Frady Park, we did complete a lighting study to add lighting to the north entrance from the neighborhood to that park where it's very shadowed and treed. And then Parks is doing a refresh on the park, so the funding was transferred to them to help make all of those improvements at once. We are currently underway with our wastewater and water utility master plan. The College Street project is going to build sidewalks all along the north side of College Street all the way to Wayne Frady Park. Our neighborhood services is still partnering with nonprofit school districts and faith organizations to provide resident services. We are currently working with developers on the land that's south of the Fox Hembry Cemetery to ensure that there's a paved access easement. The current access easement is a gravel road, and it actually goes through the railroad's right-of-way, which isn't ideal. And so with the development of the property to the south of that cemetery, we want to ensure that there's a permanent access easement for them. And then we're also looking at further amendments to backyard cottage regulations, which might come before this board in the near future, hopefully. What's still on our to-do list for the Old Town North Small Area Plan is the creative mix area on Cowan Street. We just haven't felt that it's quite ripe enough to get to that one yet. A community garden is still on the to-do list, doing some more branding and outreach and creating that sense of neighborhood identity. Updating our thoroughfare plan and street designs. With the complete streets, we can now look at streets on a case-by-case basis, but we are working on an update to our thoroughfare plan, which will likely be called a mobility plan in the coming years. And then a design district on the north side of College Street to relate to Old Town. That was what was recommended in the plan. We are currently updating the Old Town master plan. We are expanding the boundaries of the area we're looking at with that master plan update. Not that we'll necessarily consider all of that expanded boundaries part of Old Town, but we are kind of taking in that broader area so that we can look at, does it need its own overlay, or should we extend the Old Town Design District to kind of further explore those two options? And then to design and construct the Prairie Creek Trail. Parks has been working on a couple other trails. This is on the Healthy Infrastructure Plan, so it did get adopted into that plan. It's just we don't have it designed or ready for construction quite yet, but those are still on the to-do list. With Southwest Lewisville, we did also do the plantings at FM 3040 and Business 121 through the Green Ribbon Program with TxDOT. We recently signed an interlocal with TxDOT to do an entryway sign on the median on the west side of 3040 as you come into the city from Flower Mound. So that's on the to-do list, is to actually execute a contract with a builder to get that sign installed. We did recently a Connect at Creekside event, which was a really great event led by our neighborhood services team that included staff from multiple departments, brought our parks crews out there and really engaged with that neighborhood to try to help engage them with the city and provide services. We have the planned development adopted for the ACE property that does provide for a trail network. We do have a business retention policy in place. That was something we didn't have at the time of this plan, and there was a lot of talk about retaining businesses and supporting businesses along the 3040 corridor. So we did adopt a business retention policy citywide. The mayor did hold one of his quarter-yearly meetings in the area, and we made some overall improvements to the website as communication to citizens was a concern during that planning process. So we've made some overall improvements to the website that should support all residents of Lewisville. Some of the items that are in progress are looking at further improvements to Creekside and how we can partner with them, with our parks departments and other departments to do plow and other services at the Creekside community. The water loop, the waterline loop is funded, and construction is anticipated to let in March of this year, so that's very exciting. Along with that is the next item on the list, which is the sidewalk that's associated with that project to help connect the Creekside mobile home community to Valley Parkway. The entryway sign on 3040, as I mentioned, and then working with that plan development to get that trail system constructed. What is still on the to-do list is a policy that would be citywide, really, for gas well reclamation. What happens when those gas wells are no longer needed or producing? What do we do with those lands? Incentives, looking at incentives for upgrades along FM 3040, so that could be facade upgrades. We do have funding set aside this year that is for business facade upgrades. So that could be for this corridor. We're also looking at the Business 121 corridor as well, obviously. Looking at further developing business associations, we did consider a design overlay. We actually got so far as drafting it, and then the materials bill passed, and a lot of what was in it was related to building materials, so we weren't able to adopt that, but going back and looking at that. And then continued investment in the Creekside community and further collaboration with some of our nonprofit partners. So that's a real brief update on the implementation of those plans that were adopted back in 2018.
Thank you. I love the reinvestment into Creekside. Ladies and gentlemen, comments?
I don't know if this is the a comment or something, but are we considering also with this, and I'm not really sure, I think I read something that Creekside Elementary may be closing down?
Yeah, so LASD is closing 5 elementary schools, and Creekside is one of the ones that's closing. So that's not related to the Creekside Mobile Home Community. But yes, and it's just, I believe it's just north of this area.
Okay,
Plain
maybe I'm
area.
thinking of, I'm thinking of the park, right? Is that the one that you're working on, or are you talking further down, further south?
Which park are you thinking of? I'm sorry.
Creekside Park.
Creekside.
The one where we have the monument, there's the statue.
Oh, Central Park.
Central Park,
Memorial.
okay. I'm
Central,
sorry.
Yes.
No, that's,
Okay. Then I guess I don't know where Creekside Park is at. I apologize.
it's okay, we have to ask questions
Yeah.
to get information. Any other questions, commissioners? Announcements?
Yeah, it's right next to the park.
Okay.
Happy
Announcements?
holidays.
Well, I would like to wish everybody a wonderful holiday, whichever holiday it is for you. But enjoy time with family and friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. With that, if there are no other announcements or comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Rick, second by Joshua. Vote now. Vote is 5-0. We are adjourned.